Recently, I've been having a lot of pain in my trachea. I called my doctor's office to schedule an appointment. My appointment with the doctor was supposed to be tomorrow, which is Friday. However, the appointment was changed to today to see the nurse practitioner. We are getting everything packed up to go to my appointment. It's getting time to leave, so let's go. Hello, welcome back home. Now you're probably thinking, I thought we were going to the doctor's office with her. I thought you were coming along too, but that did not happen. Let me explain. When I arrived at the doctor's office, the waiting room was packed with people. I thought, oh no, it's going to be a very long wait. I got myself situated in the waiting room and started reading my Bible. After an hour, I was called back to an examination room. When I got to the examination room, there were these large posters about bronchiectasis. I thought, oh, wonderful! I am doing a video coming up about bronchiectasis, and I thought, these are perfect for my upcoming video. I'm going to take my camera and get some photos, and this is just going to be absolutely wonderful. And then while I'm waiting here, I'm going to do a quick update. Well, the phone wouldn't turn on. I tried and tried and tried. A little helpful hint. The battery needs to be charged on this little device, and I did not check that. And the battery drained, so it was dead. So I'm trying to take a photo, but it won't turn on. That was very heartbreaking. Now, this part of the story, you're going to say, well, don't you have a charger? Couldn't you take a charger and charge the phone and then have power and then you could record and take your photos? Well, that would be the logical thing to do. But I don't use cell phones except to record videos on, and I just am not hassled with them. So why would I take a charger with me for a device I never use? So of course I didn't have this. This was at home. I am sitting in the doctor's office going, oh, bummer. I can't take my photos. I can't take my videos. So I just had to sit there and look at the beautiful posters and try to memorize them. Eventually, the nurse practitioner came and saw me. It was a very slow appointment. The nurse practitioner is rather new, and she was trying to get herself updated on my profile, so it took a very long time. And then we got to the end of the appointment, and I mentioned to her my trachea was hurting, and I asked if we could do a bronchoscopy to see if there's possibly granulation tissue, and then go from there. She agreed that was a good idea. She then also texted the doctor to find out when he wanted to do the bronchoscopy. I was told the doctor would call me in the next couple days and we'd set everything up. So that was the end of my appointment. I was exiting and I had to check out. And one thing the nurse practitioner did, which I had asked for, was get a prescription for tracheostomy tubes. I'm supposed to change my tracheostomy tube once a month, but I don't have a prescription for that. So in order to get the tracheostomy tubes, I need a prescription. So I'd asked for that. And when I was checking out, the receptionist said, is this supposed to be a prescription? And I said, yes, it is. And she said, oh, this isn't written right. It's not written as a prescription. So the receptionist had to go back and find the nurse practitioner and get a prescription prescribed for tracheostomy tubes. I was very, very grateful for that. So I had to wait. Who cares? I'm ready waiting. Might as well wait some more. But a blessing awaited me as I was waiting in the waiting room before my appointment. I briefly chatted with a woman who was on oxygen, and she thought my ventilator was an oxygen concentrator, and I didn't have the heart to tell her it was not. I just said, yes, it's portable, and I didn't want to break her bubble that she did not understand what a ventilator was. But on the way out, she saw me again. We were both trying to check out at the same time. And then she saw my tracheostomy tube. And then she goes, oh, that's not an oxygen concentrator, is it? And I said, no, ma'am, it's a ventilator. And she goes, oh, wow. And then she starts telling me a story about her husband. Her husband had gotten swine flu. He was very, very sick, and he refused to go to the doctor. Finally, when he was on the verge of death, he finally went to the emergency department. They immediately admitted him. He was septic. It was not a good story. They had him on a ventilator and they put a tracheostomy tube into him and they were able to wean him off the ventilator. And she said, yes, and then they were going to remove the tracheostomy tube. So they removed the tracheostomy tube and then the next day he was dead. So it was absolutely heartbreaking to hear the story. And I really was very blessed by this time to spend with the woman, just to hear her story, to hear her struggles with everything she's going through. So her name is Trudy, so I really want to dedicate this video to her husband, and I just hope his memory is a blessing. Sorry. It chokes me up a lot when people lose a loved one. Sorry. Anyways, back to my story. After I chatted with my friend Trudy, another blessing awaited me. During this time, the doctor had called back and he said, yes, let's do a bronchoscopy and we can schedule it next week. And I thought, wonderful, I am here. I can go and register at the hospital for the bronchoscopy. Then the receptionist says, no, you need to come back tomorrow. And I said, oh, bummer. I don't think I'm going to be able to come back tomorrow, and I have to register by tomorrow to have the procedure next week. And then the receptionist says, well, in order for you to register today, I need to do all the paperwork and get this set up, and it's getting to be very late in the day. I don't think I can do that. And I said, oh, well then I don't think I can schedule it next week. There's no way I can come back tomorrow. I'm not going to be able to do that. Then the receptionist was extremely kind and she says, well, okay, just wait right here and I'll try to get everything. So she goes and gets all the forms filled out and she's trying to call over to the hospital and nobody will answer. It is 3:30 and nobody's picking up the phone. So I wait and wait and wait. And then she says, oh, I'm so sorry. Nobody over at the hospital is picking up the phone. As she's saying this, she goes, oh, wait, I have the nurse's number. I have her personal number. I'm not supposed to use this, but I'll try. I'll see if she picks up. So the receptionist used her personal cell phone and called the nurse over at the hospital, the nurse's personal cell phone, and guess what? The nurse answered. And the receptionist said, oh, I am so sorry, but we kind of have an emergency situation. We have a patient here who needs a bronchoscopy. It needs to be next week, and she needs to register at the hospital. So we need to get this set up so she can go over and register. And if she can't do that, then we can't schedule the bronchoscopy for next week. So the nurse was extremely kind and set everything up for the bronchoscopy. Then I got everything, all my paperwork, and the receptionist says, okay, now you're going to have to go to the hospital and get registered. They're only open till 5. And right now it was 3:50. Well, I had one other thing. I had to go get blood work done. And I wasn't sure what time the lab closed. Was it 4 o'clock or 4:30? I wasn't sure which one, but I was thinking, I'm not going to the hospital to register because I will not make it back in time to get my labs drawn. I need my labs for my TPN, and so they're kind of necessary. So I left my doctor's appointment and we zipped, and I do mean zipped, down the road. That's all it was just down the street to the lab. And then I immediately got in there and got signed in, and there was nobody there. And I just slid right into a chair, got my arm out, and there was 2 women. One was typing everything into the computer. The other one goes, what vials do we need? One, okay. And then wrapped my arm up. They said, you're good to go. And I was like, it's so wonderful. So then I got back in the car, and then we zipped over to the hospital. And then it was a huge miracle because there was nobody, and I mean nobody was registering because it was like 4:15 in the afternoon. So nobody was registering, and I was so excited because I always have to wait at least an hour to register. But there was nobody. So I immediately got to go in, and I had this wonderful woman. Her name was Mary, and she was like really, really fast. And then she's just like, just sign here. Okay, you're done. And I was like, oh my goodness. That was so exciting that everything worked out. They got it scheduled for my bronchoscopy. I got my blood work done. I got over to the hospital to register. I don't have to go back until I need the bronchoscopy. So I am super, super excited that everything worked out so, so well. And I'm so excited that perhaps they're going to figure out why my trachea is hurting. And the doctor said he's going to look. If there's anything he can do, he'll try to do it either at that procedure or another procedure. But if it's something beyond his expertise, then I'll be referred on to somebody else. So I'm hoping and praying that the doctor can fix whatever issue is bothering me in my trachea, and I don't need anything else. So that was my very, very fun and exciting day. Thank you so much for joining me. Please remember to like and subscribe down below. I hope you have a great day and a wonderful week. Bye-bye. Today is Thursday. Let me explain the appointment change. On Tuesday, I was sitting in my bed and the phone rings. It is the doctor's office. The receptionist says, I know you were supposed to have an appointment to see the doctor tomorrow, but the doctor is not going to be in tomorrow to see you. Can we schedule you for Thursday with the nurse practitioner? I was slightly amused. Somewhere my appointment was changed from Friday to Wednesday, and now they were informing me the doctor could not see me on Wednesday. This was fantastic because I could not go on Wednesday, but Thursday fit perfectly into my schedule. So of course, I agreed to the appointment change.